The screech of the seagulls accompanies the strenuous climb of the group led by Momongo along the narrow path that skirts the cliff. It's a steep and slippery route, and everyone is careful where they step. "Come on. Courage," says Fjorna to Ceria, pushing her forward. "Momongo," the girl says, "I wanted to apologize for earlier. I shouldn't have said those things to you." Momongo's eyes gloss over as if he's about to cry. "Please don't do it again," the girl screams in panic. Momongo wipes his right eye and grins. "You don't need to apologize. Momongo lied to Ceria after she saved the carp friends, so now Momongo is settling his debt." The wind howls like a wolf in the long gorge where the party crawls forward, finally arriving in front of the imposing frost forest. The forest stretches over several hectares, bordering multiple cities and villages. It is a natural reserve of hundreds of animal and plant species. Bandits avoid it because it is said to be inhabited by an evil witch who freezes visitors, turning them into ice statues. But these were just rumors, at least until climate change struck Icewind Dale. Momongo slowly sinks his foot into the snowy moss of the forest and begins to advance. "Friends, stay close to Momongo," he says. The frost forest reveals itself to be a place of mysterious beauty. Tall, dense pines stand like silent guardians over a snow-covered ground populated by large wild bushes. One particular feature that captures everyone's attention is the luminous mushrooms dotting the landscape, emitting a soft light that dances among the shadows, creating an almost magical atmosphere. Momongo relies on the roots and bark to navigate, but after just a couple of detours, he seems to have gotten lost. The path that seemed clear at the beginning now appears confused and obstructed by sharp branches that block the way. "Momongo, friend, are you sure you remember the way?" asks Sigrud with a tone of frustration. Momongo does not forget. The path is correct, but something has manipulated the trail. This is undoubtedly the work of great illusory craft, the druid hypothesizes with a serious expression. A screeching roar resounds at that moment behind them. A formidable and terrifying creature rises, a snow basilisk. This monster has the appearance of a giant goose, with reptilian eyes and tail, emitting a menacing aura. Its feathers, white as snow, are thick and sharp, almost blending into the surrounding environment, making it a problematic threat. The group readies their weapons and forms up to protect Ceria. Zephira creates a brass dome that orbits around them, ready to defend, and yells with wisdom. "Listen, everyone!" The basilisk freezes its victims by looking into their eyes. It spits a lethal icy wind, and its claws can crack iron armor. Do not look it in the eyes and try to strike its right sternum. That's where its heart organ resides. The basilisk roars and lunges at the group, attacking with its claws. Zephira blocks the attack with the brass dome, producing bright sparks. Sigrud takes the opportunity to throw 2 fireballs at the creature, but they cause no damage. "It's not possible. It's as if its feathers were made of metal," he exclaims. Fjorna finds an opening on the right side, wields her 2-handed flaming axe, and aims for the sternum, but is knocked back by the whip-like tail of the monster. Momongo claps his hands and generates from his palms a water projectile similar to a small shark, which hits the basilisk with a burst, making it lose balance. Fjorna steadies her foot and lunges at the creature with her scorching axe, the blade plunging into the skin of the basilisk with fiery trails everywhere. But the beast does not succumb and writhes in fury. "What's happening?" asks Sigrud to his sister. "Its feathers are too hard. I can't scratch its flesh. I need to increase the temperature of the blade." At that moment, however, the warrior is forced to retreat, dodging a frosty spear thrown at her by 2 more basilisks that emerged from the shadow of the forest, exponentially complicating the conflict. "But come on, what do we do now?" Sigrud says, feeling like he's the butt of a joke. Zephira doesn't hesitate and screams, "Let's split into groups. Fjorna and Momongo will fight together. Sigrud and Bip-Bop, and me and Ceria." With no time to object, the group follows the orders. Ceria soon loses sight of her companions as she must concentrate her energies on the basilisk in front of her. Reacting to its attacks without looking it in the eyes is not easy. Zephira transforms the brass dome into a blazing cleaver, defeating the basilisk's head. "Nice shot, Zephira," shouts the elf. "No, something strange. I didn't aim for its head." Then a thought travels through her horns. Her face fills with panic. Listening screams at the top of her lungs, "You absolutely must not cut off there. She doesn't finish the sentence when Sigrud passes by her side, fleeing in the opposite direction from his basilisk, which now has about 10 screaming heads. "What's happening, Zephira?" asks Fjorna. Zephira tries to explain while blocking the claws of her basilisk, now with 3 heads. Normally, snow basilisks are created by magically altering a goose egg to incubate with a toad, but these are Basilisks. They are born when a hydra egg is incubated by a snow basilisk. Avoid their heads and aim for the left sternum this time. Fjorna and Momongo move with skill. They have control of the battlefield, advancing while alternating their aquatic and fiery magics. Their synchrony is the result of their experience in battle. First, Momongo generates a foamy wave from left to right, then Fjorna responds with a warm blaze from right to left, confusing and making the monster back off. When it's Fjorna's turn, the barbaric-pyromancer summons a fiery clamydosaurus that trips the Basilisks, giving her an advantageous position. The other Basilisks puffs up its chest and launches a glacial wave from its central head onto Ceria and Zephira. The tiefling transforms the cleaver back into a dome and blocks the attack with difficulty. The Basilisk jumps, trying to attack the girls from above. The heads on the sides generate 2 ice blades traveling at very high speed, aiming at the adventurers. "Ceria, block them!" screams Zephira, aware she cannot move the dome in time. Ceria takes aim and with her laser pistol destroys one of the 2 blades. The other manages to pass, wounding Zephira on the shoulder. "Zephira!" shouts the elf. "It's nothing. Stay focused," the alchemist tells her, holding her hand over the wound. Strange, it can't create a glacial wave from multiple heads at the same time. It's as if it wasn't, thinks Zephira, close to understanding the truth behind the monsters. Sigrud and Bip-Bop are hiding behind a tree. The warrior pants, exhausted and intimidated, his opponent is angrier and stronger. "Do you have any ideas, little one? Know any tricks I'm not aware of?" asks Sigrud to the little robot. Bip-Bop responds with seemingly incomprehensible sounds that Sigrud appears to understand. "You don't say," he says. The Basilisk is thirsty for revenge, about to reach the tree where Sigrud was leaning when the barbarian appears on the side telling it, "You chicken, I'm here." The Basilisk, with drool at its mouth, throws a very strong glacial wave at him, but Sigrud disappears. It was a hologram created by Bip-Bop. The real Sigrud is behind the creature and is riding a flaming rhinoceros headed for the creature's left side. The rhinoceros's horn attack Basilisk. Sigrud raises the double axes illuminated by a blinding light due to the temperature increase and brings them down on the monster. The explosion generates a wave that knocks snow off the trees, and even the other party members are shaken by the impact. The Basilisk lies on the ground, defeated. Sigrud wipes the sweat from his forehead, the axes crackling and cooling. "Not bad, right, Bip-Bop?" he says, turning to the little robot, but his gaze doesn't meet his helpers, but 2 cold viper eyes that freeze the warrior, turning him into a statue in a few moments. "Sigrud!" shouts Fjorna. 3 more Basilisks plummet onto the battlefield from the trees. The party gathers in a triangle around Ceria. Momongo doesn't understand. The frosty forest has no traces of such creatures. How can there be so many? Zephira reflects, then has a flash of insight, pulls out and begins to mix a series of alchemical vials with ingredients from her bag. "I think I know what's happening," she yells. "You need to buy me some time." "Do you realize what you're saying?" says Fjorna. "Momongo and I should cover you from both sides. It's madness." Zephira doesn't answer. She mixes and transfers liquids as if she hadn't heard the barbarian's protest, who grits her teeth and takes position. Ceria is terrified, tries to aim at something, but there are too many monsters closing in from every side. It's a desperate resistance. Momongo blocks a claw with a jet of water, then dodges a bite by deflecting it with his hands, is knocked down by a tail swipe, then gets up and defends the girls from a glacial wave with a water barrier. It's a crazy fight. Fjorna kicks a Basilisk's head to push it away, blocks ice blades with her axe, throws 3 fireballs at random hoping to hold on, poisoned by her own adrenaline. Momongo risks looking one of the beasts in the eyes, but squints. Something trips him, and an ice blade pierces the defenses, grazing Zephira's hair. The alchemist remains impassive. Fjorna punches a Basilisk and shouts Momongo's name, but the fishman continues to stagger. Momongo, unable, too clumsy to save friends, he says. "Don't give up, Momongo," shouts the barbarian-pyromancer. I have a bone to pick, and I don't intend to die in this filthy forest. It's the same for you, right? You want to find the people of Prismarina, am I right? You can't do that if you die now. Hearing those words, Momongo regrets having given up. He must bring Prismarina back to his family. His eyes boil with fervor. He headbutts a Basilisks and with both hands generates a very dense stormy sphere, throws it to Fjorna and shouts, "You barbarian-pyromancer, strike the sphere with all your energy." Fjorna dodges a claw that grazes her cheek, charges the two-handed axe, and with a roar hits the sphere, generating an invocation from Momongo's aquatic magic and Fjorna's pyromantic art. A purple mosasaur that, launching dozens of energy rays from its mouth, chaotically pierces the Basilisks, giving Zephira time to complete the alchemical formula. "It's done!" shouts the tiefling. She pours the glowing distillate onto her hand and then throws it into the air. Countless luminous particles pervade the forest. "I see no difference," shouts Fjorna, seeing more Basilisks approaching. But Zephira has seen something. "Ceria, shoot northwest!" She commands the elf, indicating the trajectory. "But I," replies Ceria, scared of making another mistake. "Do it!" Zephira shouts. Ceria pulls the trigger and hits the target. There's a sharp, dry noise, as if the air had shattered. Then all the Basilisks disappear into 1,000 pieces, leaving only their footprints. The mosasaur dissolves into a cloud of purple vapor. Ceria's breathing slows. She looks towards where she shot and notices a strange creature, a large white turtle with a broken mirror on its shell. "That's a reflective turtle," says Zephira. Their mirrors connect the material world with the realm of ice. They are guardians, projecting monsters into our world to defend their territory. They can become invisible. That's why I had to create an enchanted mist to reveal them. I began to suspect their presence when I noticed that the Basilisks couldn't fully use their mana, just like with summonings. Ceria remains enchanted by the tiefling's observational spirit. The mirror heals after several months. We are out of danger, for now, she concludes. Momongo collapses to the ground, exhausted. Fjorna's legs would like to do the same, but the warrior runs to her brother. "Sigrud! Sigrud!" she shouts hoarsely. The barbarian has turned into an ice statue, with dense vapor at the base of his feet. "How do I thaw him out?" asks Fjorna, turning to Zephira. I don't know," she replies softly. "What do you mean you don't know? You claim to have studied feral creatures, knew all those useless things, and now you can't help my brother." Fjorna snarls with glossy eyes. The barbarian strokes the cheek of the ice statue, wishing to feel warmth. "Sigrud?" she whispers to her brother. "That man is still alive," says a voice from a bush. It sounds like a little girl's voice. "Who spoke?" Fjorna shouts, raising her axe. From the bushes emerges a small figure, a little lunar half-goblin with smooth blue skin. She wears a huge white hat made of shiny wool, emitting a glow that seems to pulse. Momongo knows. She's the witch of the frosty forest. "I'm a mage, you chubby fish man," replies the half-goblin, throwing something that Momongo can't dodge. Luckily, it's just a snowball. "Who are you? What do you want?" "How do I return my brother to normal?" asks Fjorna with trembling lips. The mage slowly advances, taking small steps, pulls out a linen pouch from her bag, shakes it a little, and drops 3 small red seeds into the palm of her hand. "You humans are so fickle," she says. Then she blows over the seeds toward Sigrud. The seeds crackle and transform into 3 red moths, landing on the statue and melting the ice, returning the barbaric pyromancer to his sister's arms. "Sigrud, thanks to Ramses." Zephira stands up, pressing her hand on her wound. "You're undoubtedly a very powerful mage, but isn't it a drastic solution to use a reflective turtle to protect a forest?" The mage looks at her with lowered eyelids. "I had no choice. I had to defend myself in my forest, threatened by a very powerful entity. The same entity responsible for the decreasing daylight hours and the climate change in Icewind Dale." The party is stunned by this revelation, except for Zephira, who with crossed arms says sarcastically, "Oh, really? And who might that be?" The half-goblin taps her staff on the ground and turns around. "I'll tell you once we've reached my dwelling." Sigrud, shivering, retorts, "Fuck off! Why should we do what you say after you almost killed us, little abomination?" Sigrud is pale, his skin covered in ice. "Because you're dying of freezing," replies the half-goblin. "I've removed the curse, but if you don't take a warm bath, you'll still get acute pneumonia." Sigrud and Fjorna look at each other in frustration. Also, adds the half-goblin. You're Ceria, right? I know where your father is. Ceria perks up her reindeer ears.